Hi, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading, and this is your muzzleloading news for January 2024. We've got a lot of stories here, so buckle up. Our first story in this edition of muzzleloading news is a somber one. As many of you know, muzzleloading legend and icon of contemporary building, Hershel House, passed away this month. Hershel didn't just pave new roads with his concepts and his ideas and his execution of what a muzzleloading long rifle could be artistically. He also paved the way for kind of what we're seeing now when it comes to the willingness for a master to share his craft and his trade with not only a new generation, but just anybody interested in muzzleloading. You'll hear countless stories of Hershel being willing to share with anybody and everybody as much as he could what he knew to pass on his knowledge. There are several stories out there of people just showing up to Hershel's house, unplanned, totally random, and Hershel taking him out into the shop to show him something and answer a question they might have had. In the spirit of this, Hershel and a group of friends worked to form an educational 501c3 in November 2023 before his passing. It was Hershel's wish that his place be kept intact and that there be a continuation of the traditional arts classes which he so dearly loved to teach. Before he passed, he selected friends to serve as members of the board of directors to share his vision and see his dreams come true. The first board meeting of the Woodbury School 501c3 will happen later this month here in January as they begin to iron out what the first steps for this new educational organization are. Honorably, I think when it came to Hershel's memorial services, it was asked that people not send flowers, but instead send monetary donations to this new educational 501c3 so they can hit the ground running and really get the ball rolling. I know that there are plans in works to begin hosting classes this year, so they aren't dawdling, they aren't wasting any time. They're getting right to it, and they need this community support to get started. Anyone who wishes to make a donation now can send it to Hershel House and the Woodbury School Incorporated, P.O. Box 1553, Morgantown, Kentucky 42261. Hershel's passing is a terrible loss for the community. He was an icon, and he was just paved the way for so much that we're seeing today, and I really think that he paved the way for something that we'll continue to see in 100 years. Next up, as we head into 2024, there's a lot of questions about supplies, mainly powder and caps. Right now, it looks like the European powders are at normal levels of inventory across the distributors here in the United States. So if you're looking for Swiss or Schutzen black powder, shouldn't have any trouble finding those. GOEX is another question I get a lot. Is where's GOEX? What are the updates on it? I sent an email to Carl Culling, the CEO of Estes Energetics, on January 3rd, and he was able to get back with me that same day with this update about the current state of GOEX distribution. Production and distribution of black powder continued through the end of 2023. We got powder to 12 of our distributors in all parts of the country, as well as several other commercial customers. As we go into 2024, we have more orders on the books and will continue getting powder to the remaining distributors. I've independently looked at several of the GOEX distributors to see what powder was available and how much was available, and the distributors that do have GOEX black powder in stock as of about January 1st here don't have any limits on their orders. So it leads me to believe that if you're ordering GOEX through a distributor that has it, they have a fairly good confidence in the supply chain and their inventory now to place a large order if you're needing to order for your club or for some kind of match. We'll also be on the lookout for GOEX's old Eynsforde, their premium muzzleloading black powder, in Q1 here of 2024 to see if that comes into the market. Last fall, GOEX's plan was to have it out in Q1 2024. Not sure if that has changed or not yet at this point, but rollout I think will happen before we get to the big competitive events here in 2024.
This segment of muzzleloading news is brought to you by Aura. One could say I'm out in the cold, exposed, much like your data if you're not using a service like Aura to protect your online data and personal information. Aura monitors the dark web for your personal information, like your address, your date of birth, or your social security number and credit cards. And if you're one of the folks, like many who have written me over the past few years who have been victims of muzzleloading scams, Aura is going to monitor your credit accounts and look constantly for breaches of privacy. So if you purchase something through a shady website or you've been scammed, they can work with you to help get that stopped. Aura also offers a VPN service so you can browse, shop, and bank securely, regardless of if you're at home or at a coffee shop Wi-Fi. The biggest advantage, I think, is that it's easy to set up, and it's kind of an all-in-one platform or solution for all of these different needs. Many of you out there probably have 5 or 6 different services that add up to the kinds of things that Aura does here. But with Aura, it's just a one-stop shop. It's one bill, it's one payment, and everything's covered. I value my online privacy, and you should as well. Visit aura.com/muzzleloading to start your 2-week free trial. There's also a link in the video description as well as the pinned comment for this video. Thank you, Aura, for your sponsorship of I Love Muzzleloading and this episode of Muzzleloading News.
Percussion caps, another big question for many of us out there and wondering where they're at. I've got a full video coming out about what we're seeing in the market when it comes to percussion caps. But right now, if you don't find percussion caps and you can't find percussion caps, odds are you're not going to before the 2024 production run is made, at least for American-made caps. We got confirmation from CCI last year that they run percussion caps in a 1 production run every year. This production run happens in May or June of that year, and then distributors and retailers start receiving those caps and putting them up for sale in July or August. These are primarily number 11 percussion caps. We see limited distribution and manufacture of number 10 percussion caps. Last fall, we did see some new production Remington percussion caps come to market, but it was a rather short run based on what I've seen. Select retailers received the caps in a reasonable quantity. I saw some photos of some end caps that were rather well stocked, but we don't have any more continued rollout of those Remington percussion caps. I don't have any notification of that. So I'm not sure what the scope of that production run and distribution was. Everything that I've seen looks like they're new production Remington caps, but we haven't seen any continuation of that as of January 2024 to know. I'm hoping that we see more through 2024 here so that we can kind of start marking these trends in manufacture and distribution. As many of you know, Remington ammunition manufacturing was purchased by Vista Outdoors, the same company that owns CCI and that production capability. So I'm hoping that they're on a similar schedule, but we just start to see 2 production lines running caps, 1 under CCI, 1 under Remington, but right now that's just speculation and wishful thinking. Fans of the Kibler's Long Rifles muzzleloading kits are excited because 2024 is the year that the Kibler Fowler or fowling piece is supposed to be released. We got a little bit of a tease of this kit late last year, both by the original stock maker for this particular kit, Eric Van Oswich. He teased a couple pictures on his Instagram of shaping the stock that will be used as the master for the kits. And then in a Jim Kibler Q&A video, we saw what many believe to be the Kibler Fowler kit hanging next to Jim, but we didn't see any different angles of that kit. So we kind of saw a select view there. Don't have a lot of information about when this kit is going to drop. We can assume 2024 based on what Jim has said in his own videos as well as some forum posts out there, but that doesn't mean that folks aren't speculating out there as to when and how much it's going to cost. I'm excited to see this come to market personally. I get a lot of questions about muzzleloading shotguns or muzzleloading fowling pieces, and I think it's always nice to have another option out there. We do too have some information about Kibler's next kit or possibly another kit. He put out a question on the American Long Rifles forum last year looking for an original Hawken to study and measure and base a Kibler Hawken kit off of. The 200th anniversary of the Hawken shop and the Hawken rifle era is really coming up here in 2025. So it would make sense for Jim to release a Kibler Hawken around that time frame. I don't know if we can expect it by that time frame just because of so much that goes into the development and manufacturing of a new muzzleloader kit. As fast as Jim is, I wonder if he can get it out in that amount of time. But I think he, like many others, are anticipating a resurgence in interest in the Hawken, at least for some period here, because we're hitting that 200th anniversary. We're some time from Jeremiah Johnson. You know, there's some Hawken love out there. That I think people are ready to get back into them a little bit. 2024 is going to be exciting for the Chambers muzzleloader kit manufacturing. They just moved to their new facility, the new larger building, have machines installed, and are ready to get back to work. If you're not familiar, the Chambers muzzleloader kit manufacturing was a business built by Jim Chambers in the basement of his house. The business has always run from the basement of his house. If you've seen pictures, it's just incredible. The Chambers Flintlock business is the definition of iconic American cottage business, because everything was just in this little basement. If you talk to Barbie Chambers even, she can't believe how much equipment Jim was able to fit in that basement and how many kits he was able to deliver and manufacture from that basement. Kind of a new era here for Chambers though. They've moved to a newly manufactured building, a much larger manufacturing and storage space for kit manufacturing and distribution. Muzzleloader builders looking for a different style to work in and a different lock to work with will be excited about the reintroduction of the Ditchburn JP Beck lock. On the American Long Rifles forum, Chris Everard has been updating the forum users and the internet in general about his CNC manufacturing of the internals of Ditchburn's JP Beck lock. It's just really fantastic to watch. I love seeing how people's brains work and seeing, again, the modern technology of a CNC machine being applied to a 200-plus-year-old mechanism like the Flintlock is really exciting to see. Chris is continuing to post updates on the American Long Rifles forum, so you can check out his thread. We'll have a link in the video description for you to check that out. He did say that he plans to offer the locks for sale. He had planned on early 2024, but it's looking about like spring, summer 2024 here for Chris to have everything ironed out and have a few of these up for sale. He's really surprised about the interest in this lock, but I think it's no surprise really. People in muzzleloading love to see somebody applying new technology to something, to manufacture something old but new now. And you know, seeing Chris's passion, his interest in this, people are drawn to that. And I think that's something that's just incredible about muzzleloading. So I wish Chris all the best with this manufacture. The delay in Muzzleloader Magazine distribution is going to go on for one more issue, but then they'll be back on track. Muzzleloader Magazine posted this on Facebook earlier this month. Dear readers, I hope that you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I wanted to let you know that the January-February 2024 issue is at the printers, although they have not given me a mailing date yet. I think the issue came out very well, and I'm excited about two new columns in the issue: The Builder's Bench by Jim Parker and Buffalo Trace 1765 by Nathan Kobuck. Jason mentioned that he will be posting an update when he knows the mailing date. There was some confusion about the mailing delay for the November-December 2023 issue, and it seems like that issue is folding into now 2024, but we're going to see that correct itself with our March-April issue for 2024 here. If you're not familiar with Jim Parker and Nathan Kobuck, I'm really excited to see these articles, really excited to see these guys get their work out there to a wider audience. There's a theme of education right now in muzzleloading and in muzzleloading media, which I'm really excited about. We're continuing to see this grow, seeing people learn and seeing information be easily accessible. It's fantastic. Our next story is kind of a muzzleloading hybrid because the quote muzzleloader referenced in it is one of those federal fire stick muzzleloaders, but I'm bringing it up as a safety concern here. CVA, as of this morning, has issued a voluntary recall on their federal fire stick compatible muzzleloader due to some issues with the barrel lug weld. Quote, CVA has identified a concern related to the welds between the barrel and barrel lug on a limited number of Crossfire muzzleloaders featuring burnt bronze, Cerakote, and nitride barrels. There is a possibility that dropping the firearm or repeated firings could compromise the weld, leading to a separation of the barrel from the lug during firing. Therefore, CVA is initiating a voluntary recall for such firearms currently in the distribution channel. CVA distributors and dealers with these firearms in inventory should immediately contact their CVA sales coordinator to obtain a return authorization and receive information regarding replacement or credit. Quote, distributors and retailers should contact all customers who have purchased these firearms and notify them of the recall. Please instruct these customers to call CVA customer service immediately at 1-770-449-4687 to obtain a return authorization and receive information regarding about a replacement or refund. It's important to note here that this recall only affects CVA Crossfire rifles with nitrided treated barrels only with numbers CR3804NM and CR3804NSC, and does not apply to any other muzzleloader or CVA Crossfire. I don't personally use any of the federal fire stick stuff. It's not really my jam, but I know that people in the audience, I know that people that read the website do have them and do use them, I bring this up just as a notification of safety. You know, when something like this happens, I think it's important to get the word out. On that note here, we saw 2 injuries that I know of published during kind of the 2023-2024 hunting season. The first was in West Virginia, and the second was on Christmas Day, or the day after Christmas, in Pennsylvania. In both of these instances, 2 people were hurt shooting a muzzleloader, and something happened. Now, because it's not really a big news story for the news, it's hard to get down to the bottom of what caused both of these sets of injuries, but it is a stark reminder that safety is important. And I know that safety can be boring, and I know when we're going over safety in videos, not just mine and everybody else's, it can be kind of a slog, but that safety stuff is in there because it's important to somebody who's just picked up their first muzzleloader, or maybe gotten a muzzleloader for Christmas. They're taking it out to shoot it for the Christmas or after Christmas flintlock season. That safety stuff is important. It is good that we only saw at least 2 reported muzzleloader injuries this year. It would be nice if we didn't get any, of course, but you know, think about that safety aspect of it. You know, if there's somebody in your area that you know is getting interested in muzzleloading, or you're walking somebody through getting started in muzzleloading, really consider, if you can, going through those extra steps or trying to help as much as you can. Muzzleloaders get a bad rap in the safety department, I think, really because of a legacy of people who have used them and not cared enough to really learn and understand them. I hope that these stories don't continue that, really, in my opinion, false legacy. Tons of people use muzzleloaders safely. Tons of people get into muzzleloaders safely. I hope to see that continue. But these injury stories are important for us to acknowledge and remember when we're out there at the range with somebody, to slow down a little bit, walk through those extra steps, and make sure that we're being safe as well. On more of an update about the channel as we head into 2024 here, I'm looking to limit a little bit some of the travel that I'm doing this year. I just have a lot happening life-wise and family-wise, so you might not see me at every event or as active at the events that I have been in the past. We got caught up, I think, a lot last year, did a lot of traveling, did a lot of filming on the road. I want to still go to the events. I want to still enjoy myself and see folks and meet up and chat. I'm just dialing back a little bit. Some of that travel, not cutting down any of the videos is the goal. I do want, though, to do a little bit more on the range, at home, where my family is, so we can all be together and tackle some kind of different stuff than we tackled in the past. Still really enjoy going to the shows and covering the events and the craftspeople at the shows, but I want to, but really there's just some other things that I want to start doing on the range. You know, a lot of the testing videos, as I try to answer more and more questions that I'm getting, they're requiring more than just a morning or an afternoon. They're requiring multiple full days to get good data out of the range test. So to keep those going, which I know people want and I want to do because they're a lot of fun, they're very interesting, I need more days to stack up, and I'm still working full time in addition to you know, being a dad and having a little garden and things, and so it's just dialing back a little bit. I don't want to raise any alarms or any concern about that, and I'm just saying, if you don't see me out at an event, it's not anything bad. I'm just dialing back a little bit. If you've not caught them yet, we've got several kit builds going on right now. It's a busy winter here in the shop. We're finishing up our Invest Arms Plains pistol. We've got a Kibler Woods Runner on deck, and then I just got notification that my Chambers fowling piece that I ordered back in August is shipping. Super excited about that. I paid for that kit in full. It's not associated at all with the news update about the Chambers family, but I'm excited to get that done. It's going to be a hustle. I don't know that I'm going to get it done for turkey season, but we're going to try. The I Love Muzzleloading podcast is kicking off as well this month. We've got some great episodes lined up with some great people in muzzleloading, some varied backgrounds. I encourage you to check that out. If you've got a long drive coming up and you want to listen to some stuff about muzzleloading, a lot of great conversations happening there. As always, we'll have links to the topics discussed in this episode at ilovemuzzleloading.com. Once again, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.